going on, everybody? Welcome back. And today we're going to be talking about a very, very disgusting topic. I did a park review on Magic Springs just this past week, and I've been asking myself this question ever since I got to that park. What can happen to make this park better? During our visit, there were just a lot of things that went wrong. Went wrong from attractions being closed to the ticket prices to operations management, delegation management on upper management's part. There was just a lot of things going on in this park that just did not have it going for it. And this is not the first time this has happened. It happened the same thing last year when I went to do a review of this park, and they had several rides down and closed during this time. Last year I went during the weekend. It was a Saturday, and I think there was quite a few rides that were down, quite a few attractions that were down. But this past week, we went, and at least 50% of the attractions were down, from the lazy river to the kids splash pad areas to two of the premier rides in the park. So I'm sitting here making this video as to what could be done that would make this park better. This is in no way, form, or fashion bashing the park. It's not bashing the management. It's not doing anything. This is just a little enthusiast criticism from one person to the other. Right off the bat, one of the things that I noticed that I felt really needed to change was the way the ride selection is. This park, as much negativity as this park is getting right now, this park has a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential within this park, but they're just, I don't know if they're lacking the funds to be able to step this thing up, or what the deal is with it. But this park has a lot of potential. A lot of potential. The first thing I realized right off the bat is Plummet Summit, the ride that's showcasing in the background right now, is probably in a really, really good spot, actually. It's in a really good spot. It's like right next to the Gauntlet, and it's over there by the mine train and the kiddie coaster. So it's in a really, really good spot to, you don't have to go halfway around the country to be able to, get to it. And being the fact of how hot it is, people just want to sit there on the bridge and, get splashed every few minutes. It's, necessarily not a bad thing, not a bad spot. But let's talk a little bit about the park's SLC, shall we? This is a very, very old ride. When I was a teenager, maybe 17, 18 years old, this ride was premiered. This was the number one ride back then. X-Coaster wasn't around. I can't remember if Big Bad John was around. I know Arkansas Twister was. I remember riding both of them. I think at the time the only two coasters that were in the park were Arkansas Twister and the Gauntlet. But back then, this thing was really, really in its prime, and it was really, really good. It was really smooth. It was really fun, and it was exceptionally great given the fact that it was a Vekoma SLC. Now this thing it's worn down. This thing is almost 20 years old, just give or take, and this thing is rough. It is rough on the body. It definitely, they need to take this time when the park is not even open year-round. So the park closes October 31st and doesn't open again until probably May of the following year. So there should be no excuse why these rides are not running as if they were brand new rides, given the fact that you're only open for less than half the year. So there should be really no excuse as to why these rides are not like top-notch on the instance of smoothness and retracking and trains. We've had the same trains on these rides for years upon years upon years. It appears that they just kind of maintenance the rides just so it'll run and then just kind of forget about it. do what you got to do to pass safety measures to get it passed so you can open it to the general public and then say the hell with it. But that's not exactly how that happens. Now, if that was under, different management, let's say like Cedar Fair or Six Flags management, then ever so often they like to retrack and bring in new trains. We recently saw this with New Texas Giant at Six Flags Over Texas. There last year they were running a red car and a blue car, and being the fact that they had ran it for so long and it made the ride a little more rough and bumpy during the time, they decided to do away with the blue car and they replaced it with a brand new car, which is all black. We do believe that this car got replaced on New Texas Giant at Hollow Fest last year, somewhere in October, and even today it's still running. The blue car is not back. We thought they were bringing it in so they could run 3 trains, but they never put the blue one back on there, and then now the blue one's just gone. So not exactly sure what that's about, but Six Flags is really good about repainting their rides, about maintaining their rides, and trying to give the experience and the customer the best and smoothest experience possible, which is not exactly what's going on here, as been shown with the Gauntlet. This thing really needs a retrack, or it just needs to be taken down completely. I vote to just take it down completely because Vekoma SLCs they're a dying breed. They're really rough, they're really hard on the body, and if anybody's ever been to Fiesta, Texas and rode Boomerang like last year before they replaced the train, Boomerang was down for a good period of time because it's a Vekoma ride. So the trains they had were really, really uncomfortable, and people were complaining with neck injuries and headaches and earaches and stuff like that. So the park president shut the ride down, and I think he put in like 2 different sets of trains trying to get this thing to run smooth. And even now, this thing still doesn't run smooth. It doesn't matter how many times you replace the cars. The cars aren't the problem. The problem is the track. That's where you got it. The problem is the track, and it's just the way that the track is made by Vekoma. And the best thing to do would be to just take the Gauntlet out and replace it with a B&M. Replace it with a B&M. It's efficient. It's quickly put together. It's not a big deal. It's popular. It's high demand. You can get a B&M Batman clone from pretty much any park in the country that it's closed. I guarantee you they've got one somewhere that nobody's using. Hell, you might even be able to trade them for it. Who knows? But it'd be very easily for you to swap out the Gauntlet for a Batman clone by B&M because it's way more smoother. And having a Batman clone in a small park like this you're gonna spend millions of dollars trying to get the ride, but you're gonna make back that millions in the amount of ticket sales that you make. Another ride that could be a little bit on the rough side is Arkansas Twister. This thing is a little rough, but only like towards the middle back and the back part. Usually the middle and the front's actually not a bad ride. It's not like a great ride like New Texas Giant or Iron Rattler, but given the fact that it's, an Arkansas style, Arkansas Twister, it's kind of equivalent to Judge Roy Scream at Six Flags Over Texas. It's about like that. Gerstlauer trains, so it's just not really a whole lot that you can do aside from that. I'm not recommending that Rocky Mountain Construction come in and try to save that roller coaster, because I really don't think there's anything that you can do to really save that roller coaster, because this thing is old, it's vintage, it's been there ever since the park opened. So the best thing to do is just leave it there as it's a part of history type of thing. Big Bad John, the Parks and Mine Train, is actually pretty smooth compared to a Runaway Mine Train at Six Flags Over Texas. I would vote Big Bad John to be better than Runaway Mine Train. That's just my personal opinion. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? But I think that ride's actually in a really good spot. X-Coaster, they were talking about taking this thing down because, it's more trouble than it's worth. This thing there, like back in 2012, they were going to take it down, and then they just decided not to. It is a Sky Loop coaster, so there's not a whole lot of these things rolling around. But I do believe they didn't want to take it down because most of the parts were welded together. So they would have to literally cut the thing apart in order to get it down. It's just really not safe to do so. But I know back in 2007 there was a big thing on the news about this ride because I think like 12 riders were stuck upside down in the vertical loop for like 30 minutes straight. So that's a pretty dangerous situation. After that, I think they lost all power to the ride. So the emergency switch hit and riders were stuck upside down for a good 30, 45 minutes. So well, let's jump to the water park. What can we do to make this park better? The theme park part of this park is really needs some attention. It really does. Because you've got the Hawk, which is a flat ride, which literally just goes in a circle. You've got the log flume that hasn't been opened since Jesus walked the earth. And it's a really remodeled log flume. You can definitely tell that everything is brand new on this thing. So they took the time to be able to, remodel the log flume that hasn't ran in, I don't know when the last time that sucker ran. But the theme park really needs some tender loving and caring, man. They have a drop tower. It's not anything big and crazy. It's probably the size of a drop tower that you would see at like a county fair or something, just a little bit taller. It's not like Superman Tower of Power or the Scream at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. SeaWorld doesn't have one, so we have nothing to compare it to there. But when I rode this thing, it was, the going up part was kind of the longest part of the ride. It usually is on these things. But then the drop down, it just kind of felt a little meh. Like it was, you felt like it was going to be intense, but it really wasn't, type of thing. So it's given the size of the park, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Let's touch base on the water park, because the water park is the main part of this park. This is what sets this park away from other parks, is because of the water park. It says theme and water park, but Magic Springs is 100% water park efficient park. It's got more stuff that are catering to water parks than it does anything else for the theme parks. So you've got Arkansas Twister over there next to the water park, which is really good, because if you get people that get hot, they want to, dry off, they can jump on Arkansas Twister, then they get hot again, they can jump back right there. They don't have to walk halfway across the park, which I thought that was really good. They do have concerts and stuff right around there in that area. I believe this weekend they're doing like Vanilla Ice. We're not watching that. We're just going to go home and sleep. That's just how the cookie crumbles. But anyway, you can't run an efficient water park if you don't open your water park. One of the things that people go to when they go to a water park, they look for two things. They look for a wave pool and they look for a lazy river. If you've got these two things, you're going to bring customers in, because a lot of things that people want to do is they just want to sit on a tube and just relax. If it's hot, they want to get in the cool water and just lay back and just relax. That's why the lazy river at Slitterbond in San Antonio is it's always such a big hit, and there's always a lot of people, and that's why it's so big. It's because hundreds upon thousands of people just get on that thing, get on that black tube, and then just float forever. It's cool, it's relaxing, it's in the shade, But if you don't have your lazy river open, then you really can't do anything. So you've got to you've got to prioritize what's going to be good for the general public and what you think is going to be good. If you're short on staff, that's really not the general public's problem. That's your problem. You've got to be the one to deal with that, not them. They pay money to come to your park, so you're obligated to be able to meet the needs of the promise of what you tell them that they're going to have. If you tell them you're going to have a lazy river and you're going to have this and you're going to have that, and then they come to the park and it's just closed because you don't have the people to run it, I feel like the people should have a right to be able to get a portion of their money back, or you should be able to reduce the prices on the tickets because you're false advertising. And as bad as it sounds, I'm just telling it like it is. When we went this past week, we had the lazy river was closed. Arkansas Twister was closed, but that thing's closed half the year anyway. One of the kid areas with some water over there by the wave pool, it was also closed. Log flume was closed. X Coaster was closed. So there was a lot of stuff that was closed that probably shouldn't have been closed. In all fairness, you should have shut down the Gauntlet and moved the rider operators from the Gauntlet over to the Arkansas Twister. That way people would have only come to that area to ride Plummet Summit, which would have been a water ride. You would have shut that entire area off. You've got a higher demand of people in the water area, so having Arkansas Twister open means that you're going to have more of a demand for people to run it. Now, if the ride was down for mechanical problems, that's one thing, okay? But we don't really know why it was down. Only thing that staff and management always told us is we just don't have the manpower to keep everything open. So you just got to prioritize a lot better. At this point in time, I think the best course of action would be to try to looking to expand the park. And the best way to do that is to look into like talking to some of the CEOs with like Six Flags and Cedar Fair and see if maybe you can possibly sell the park to one of them and let them help you, promote this park and let them help you make additions to the park, remodel this park and do it to what they feel is going to be the best needs. Now, needless to say, the park would probably be of what the park's rotation and when it's open, it wouldn't be a hard thing to do for Six Flags to come in and buy this park out and kind of change it up and turn things around, get rid of some stuff and put some new stuff in. And I probably think it would be in the best interest economically for the CEOs of Magic Springs to be able to do something like that instead of trying to do it all on their own. What do you guys think? What do you think about this park? I know right now there's a lot of bad blood running around about this park, but let's not be toxic. What do you guys think can really change about this park? What do you think would make it better? What are some of your thoughts on what could really turn this park around? Let me know in the comments, guys. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, turn on notifications, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.